Happy Tuesday, man. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Man, we got some topics. Um, hope you're enjoying your day today. Hope everything is going well. Happy Tuesday, man. So, straight to the point. I ain't really know. Hey, how they say? No need for introduction. Let me make sure I'm setting up something real quick. Hold on. Wait. All right, perfect. Sound clean. Just gotta make sure y'all can hear me because I went a whole live stream and you could not hear me. I did it before, so I always make sure some things you just don't forget. Some things you just don't forget. Hey, I'm feeling a bit more. I had someone tell me that. Well, I feel like I've been me on these live streams for the most part, but I had someone tell me, generally, it was like, be yourself. Always be yourself. It was random. It wasn't like they were critiquing me, but they were really just really telling me like be myself. Um, even though you go to school and school changes you so much, help you see things differently. They was like, always remain yourself because that's what built you, where you from. And I said, man, that was a genuine person too. This happened at work like last week. Yeah, this was a genuine person. Genuine person. All right. Y'all know we gotta do a disclaimer because Palantir didn't set it off. Y'all think it'd be me. Y'all think it'd be me, but Palantir be setting it off. They be setting it off. They came hard in the paint with this one. Let me do the disclaimer real quick. They came hard in the paint with this one. They really did. They really did. Disclaimer. Are you? Excuse me. Disclaimer. I always have to find it because my mind be racing. I be excited, and I just be like, "Where is it?" And it's right here in my face. It feels good to be back in the studio, man. Like that's the best feeling, being back in the studio with you all. Because I just be like, when I don't got all my equipment, I be feeling a little off. I just be like, man, what's going on? That just be me, though. That just be me. All right. No sound on this, but remember, disclaimer: the videos presented here are for informational purposes only. Remember that Henry, speaking on behalf of Creator, is only speaking from his experience, his work experience, his his methodology. The methodology we came up with, speaking on behalf, how you can save $10,000 or more in college. Staying off campus, not getting the meal plan, not getting dorms, like we really help you save money. But remember, I am not a financial aid specialist, academic advisor, or representing any institution during this live stream. I represent myself, and it's very important that you reach back out to that institution to verify the things that we are talking about, because based on the time when you watch this video, things could have changed by then. So we always want to keep that in mind before you go bragging about us, boasting about us. We got to make sure you know that. We don't want you turning up on the people too much. I don't want you. So before we always start, we like to do shout out to Shio because they do a lot of data and research. Still don't know how they get paid, but they do a lot of data and research. I don't know if I think they're government. I need to find that out. But we always start off with the updates, the news from them. Very credible. We actually got some good, we got a left wing post, we got a right wing post, and we really got a truly obvious, different perspective and views in higher education. And I can't wait to break that down as well. That's gonna be a good one. It's a lot going on in higher ed, guys. A lot of things that you probably won't feel until July 2026, but a lot of things you won't feel until you're like in college or before college. Just ask your peers, but we're gonna talk about them, of course. So we got some updates. We got show in the news. We got more than a quarter of private colleges are at risk of closing. A new projection shows. I'll never forget when we first started live streaming. I thought private colleges were going to be a safe route. Thought they were going to be good. Thought they wasn't going to have to worry about this crazy thing, all these crazy things happening. Because I literally was applying to some private schools because I thought they were going to be like independent, safe, but find out they get money from the Department of Education as well and go through a lot of stipulations. National policy report: no place to land, housing insecurity among caregiving college students. That sounds like an interesting article. I also found the article for Inside Higher Ed about how housing is, I think that's the same. Was that from? No, that's another article. But this one is about Inside Higher Ed. It's about housing as well. I think that's going to be good to cover for especially students coming in. If you're already a student, that can help you a lot. Education department officials determined to push through college oversight revamp. Education department convenes negotiated rulemaking committee focused on reforming accreditation. That's going to be one of our biggest topics. Department of Education right now, they should be meeting. I don't know who's all there. I wish I was there. I really do. That's one of the goals in the future. But based on the timeline, unfortunately, and what happened to us too, in addition, with the loan thing and stuff. This was in DC and we are Georgia based, so we're not able to be there to be getting the scoop of what's going on. And so until it gets released from these other media outlets. Financial aid for students without financial need. Why do colleges offer it? That's a good one too. And admissions data, legal fight. Colleges want protection from punishment. Then state policy, not that many today. They got Missouri House discusses more funding for HBCUs. Shout out to HBCUs if that happens. We'll see how that goes. North Carolina, locally unique, system strong, supporting rural institutions in North Carolina. North Carolina report, UNC system workforce alignment report. And then another one, another North Carolina. UNC system report highlights degree shortages in key industries, including nursing. All right. So those are some updates. Of course, we're going to cover the ones I feel like we should talk about that can be beneficial to you, helpful for you. And so now the fun part. Ooh, the fun parts. Ooh. Can y'all see? Ooh, okay. Fun part. Make sure everything looks good on y'all end. Let me go to it. Let me pull it up. This is so freaking, I don't know. It was funny and I loved it though. It was funny and I loved it because it's so true. And so it's 110% true. 110% true. Put the sound on it. I actually never clipped it. It's actually, I'm going to try to find it during the live stream. That's why we live stream. All right. So it was a day ago, yesterday. I usually, like I tell you guys, I love LinkedIn because I find topics that are related to the industry, higher ed. I always get constant updates, just updates from different, really every media outlet has an education sector that talks about higher education or education in general. But that's why I want to step in and be that higher education voice. And we got so many more ideas once we start getting everything rolling. And Palantir, guys, as you know, I talk about Palantir often. That was one of my early investments back in undergrad when I was in college. And Palantir, man, let me tell you. Palantir, y'all probably read it, but this got some little, hey, y'all see my views? My views spiked when people saw me repost this, and I was like, hey, Palantir, man, you gotta take something. Hold on. Sometimes you gotta take a breather on stuff. So Palantir Technology said college admissions decisions are coming out. They kept it so straight to the point. And everybody know that y'all get hyped. People get hype. Don't act like you don't. Everybody know people get hype. Man, I love my dad when I do that. Everybody get hype when these college admissions come out, right? People be happy they got in. Some people who don't get into school don't say nothing. But the moral of the story is y'all be hyped, right? My baby got into this school, got into that school, right? Got into this school. Palantir said a lot of brilliant people are about to be told they don't fit the profile. Okay. Their admission system is a flawed filter. Ours is not. Okay. Okay. They said we are adding 2 more slots to the fall 2026. Here, how you gonna say that word? Let's see if you get it right. Meritocracy fellowship. I want to see if I got it right. I want to see. I know it's merit, but I think that word is meritocracy. Let me see. Because we butchered that word right there. Y'all see. Last time we was trying to get our words right.
Meritocracy.
Meritocracy. I think I said it right.
Meritocracy.
Yeah, I think I said meritocracy. I think I did. Y'all can play me back and say, nah, you didn't get it right. So Palantir normally talks about their fellowship and how they're like doing unique things that is, of course, related to DoD. Of course, I work part-time with the DoD, and they do a lot of DoD work. And yeah, in a short nutshell, if you haven't heard of them, a lot of people got bad views on them. A lot of people got good views on them. You know, independent, strong. You know, as I like to say, when we were from poverty, when we were from low income, we just like to tell people, like, if you're trying to get out of that situation, you just really have to, you know, always believe in what you believe in, and just pay attention to the bigger picture. That's the best way I could put it, man. For people who are going to school, when you go to school, you go into the workforce, life so far, I could say that almost 30 years old, blessed to be almost 30. And I just want to say, like, it's the best advice my dad gave me. Worry about yourself. And so that's the best thing you could do. And take care of people, you know, like, give and worry about yourself. Don't get caught up in the other things, the noise. Sometimes could be a distraction. And so they said college admissions is coming out, and a lot of brilliant people. If y'all don't know, I like to tell her story. She doesn't really be on here to tell a story, but I'm actually gonna highlight it in the this little film we got coming up. And so Al, y'all, as y'all be hearing me call her name, Al was literally denied from every university that she could think of. And she went to one of the top high schools in our city. And she was part of that right here. A lot of brilliant people who don't fit the profile. And it makes you think, like, just because you didn't get into a university, a top-notch university at that, does not mean you're not, as they say, intelligent enough or whatever reason why you don't get in. Because you have to remember, guys, there's legacy admissions. There are going to be kids who get into these schools because of who they know. There are going to be reasons they get in because of their family. There are going to be reasons they get in because of their money. And I think when you understand that as a realization, you can take it better on the chin and realize that, okay, you know, it's just a reality. I think that's why I started speaking on behalf. Of course, it's multiple reasons why I started speaking on behalf, but I really don't want that to get to you, because then you go into that mindset of, now I don't want to go to a community college because I have so much pride. And actually, a community college might be the best route for somebody who is in the middle income tax bracket. I feel strongly, if you are where I'm from, the lower income tax bracket, that's definitely a reason why you should start there, or start at a school that's going to pay you at least. And then if you're in a higher tax income bracket, but you're like, because I talked to students like that in my career and as a student, and they're like, my parents' money is not my money, so that's why I started at a community college. And, you know, it's different perspectives. So that's why I'm like, speaking on behalf is for everybody. It's not just for a certain bracket of people. Some people think it's only for low income. We do not only focus on low income. We focus on all. but I definitely can relate to low income when it comes down to it and speak from experience on it, not a textbook. And so they said their admission system is a flawed filter. Ours is not. And this is me using my college skills. I don't know anybody, we don't have nobody right now in the chat. But I remember taking American Lit. It was either English 1102 or American Lit. I think it was English 1102. And we had to write an essay. People don't believe me on this, but we had to write an essay. If you took English 1102, you probably relate. We had to write essays on poetry. This is like poetry to me because they said their admission system is a flawed filter. Ours is not. Ours is not. And most people might say, well, you can't listen to them because they're like a Fortune 500 company. They're like one of those companies that people be like, they're corrupted and blah, 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 right? Excuse me. Y'all know that long again, right? And so when people put that in perspective, there are a lot of perspectives. That's what I love about this channel as well. It's a lot of perspectives to go about it. And too bad we don't got no perspectives in the chat right now. And so, but the admission system is a flawed filter. I can attest to that because it's like, but how are you going to determine who gets in and who doesn't get in? It's like it's not a perfect system, but it's kind of like it is flawed a bit. I think it's just more of schools do weigh in, like we do need some legacy students. We do need to get students who have a certain type of wealth so we can know we have guaranteed money coming in for sure, or the money should be paid. But it's just like, yo, they're telling you. And I just know, like, when college day comes up from a heart and passion, when that college decision day comes and it comes in the mail, I never got to experience that feeling. Knowing that you got into a school, because 2-year colleges is like guaranteed. You're like pretty much guaranteed to get in. Like it's 100%. It's open admission. Not gonna turn nobody away. I just need you to know why you didn't get in. If you don't, like, man, if you got a 3.9 GPA, great SAT, great ACT scores, whatever the case is, and you don't get into the school, do not feel bad. You should be up and happy because you probably dodged ain't no telling what you probably didn't dodge. You probably didn't dodge a lot. Dodged a bullet, as we say. And so, yeah, man, I seen that post, and then there's something else I want to show. I do want to show this clip. It's a clip by Palantir that I've been meaning to like. It's one of those clips. How you just been meaning to show something on the live screen, but you always forget. It's like one of those. Let me see. Let me see if I can find it. It might already be clipped. It's like a video. I might have to go on Palantir freaking YouTube channel and find it for us. And I always have to find it. But I am going to find it. All right, quick. They be posting so many videos. Like, I don't know. That was like, I don't want to say it was a year ago at this point, but it was some time ago. But I know when I see it. I know exactly when I see it. Let me see. It probably was a year ago now. And I probably saved it to the watch later, but I really want to find that video because this is the time. I brought it up. Now I got to show you guys. It's when he was standing up in this room. It's actually right here. Wow, it's already clipped. Even more beautiful. I know the kid too. When I seen, well, I don't know him, but when I looked at it and saw it, I remember the kid. And so I'm gonna show y'all real quick. I don't know if is it just him the whole time. All right, so we're gonna watch it. It's a 5-minute video, and so
far more casual.
I think the coat's going to be more charismatic. But no, take the without the coat. Actually, let's do without the coat. Okay, tell me about yourself.
I'm Akhilesh. I grew up in India, go to school in Iowa, study.
Where do you
CS.
go to school in Iowa?
I hope y'all can hear
Iowa
it pretty
State.
good.
Yes.
Good.
It's awesome.
Let me see if y'all can hear it good. I don't hear it playing out loud right now. Let me see if y'all can hear it good. I don't hear it playing out loud right now.
I'm Akhilesh. I grew up in India, go to school in Iowa, study.
Where do you
CS.
go to school?
Okay.
I'm Akhilesh. I grew up in India, go to school in Iowa, study.
Where do you?
It's very much right now. Y'all can hear it. I feel like it's low though. Whoever clipped this is a little blurry, but that ain't the point we looking for. There you go. I'm gonna see if he's gonna say it here. I want to make sure you hear everything.
Aerospace.
I'm Ethan, and I went to Middlebury College, a community college, and Michigan.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So how did you go from Middlebury, a language school, then to community college? Did you get like kicked out?
When I went to Middlebury, COVID hit, and I decided to transition to community college, which was actually my favorite educational experience I ever had.
And I don't know if y'all can hear that, but the kid said the community college was his favorite experience he ever had. But he's working at this big company now. I know you got your personal. Let's throw that out. But he's working at this company, man. And this company is very hard to work at. They say they got a lot of Department of Defense contracts, and I know people already know this. But my point is, this kid went to a community college, and he's gonna explain more.
Why?
I got to work with 40, 50-year-old mothers going back to school. I got to work with people who were of all walks of life.
He got to work with people of all walks of life at a community college. He said, I got to go back to school with mothers. They're 40 or 50 years old. And, like, I think this is for the people really. And this, like, this is for everybody to listen to. And that if you like hanging out with older people, this is where I say, like, pick a school that fits you. I get along with older people better than I do with people my age, because older people have lived the life. They have lived life already. Older people have lived life already. He said he worked with he has gone to school with people who are going back to school, like moms. They work full time, they got kids, and they're balancing work-life balance. So these older people can tell you, like, hey, look, this is how you should go about this school thing right now. This is the best way to go about it. They literally can teach you that, tell you that. They can tell you, like, hey, I know you're in college, but if I can go back and do it again, if I was your age, I would do it like this. And these are older people. These ain't YouTubers. These are real people at a school, normally community college, because a lot of older people would rather go to a community college, get their feet wet, then go to university, then go to graduate school. And like, I seen older people start late and they end up getting like their doctoral, their masters, and like, prime example, guys, like my organization at my 2-year college, real quick, was an organization mixed of, like, I had older people, like I was 18, they probably was in their 30s, and then I had some people who was about my age, and then it was a wide range of age ranges to learn from each other.
And I feel that in the educational system, we put a lot of emphasis on prestige and precociousness. And I think that's a mistake.
What surprises you?
He said we put a lot of pressure on prestige, and another word he said, I wasn't sure I caught that. And I'm only focused on him because he went to a community college and he works at this company. And they, most people say I want to go to school. Most people say, well, most people don't say I want to go to school. Most people say I want to make a lot of money. I want to make money. Why should I go to college? And this company is like, look, I don't care where you went to school. Like, it's one of those type of companies, but like the options are out there, But let me go back to him because he got another part of this. It's like
yet they're still telling you whether you're doing a good job or a bad job.
I think that my background in jazz music and improvisation and not being like trapped into a single box, I think that's somewhere that I've really enjoyed getting to be able to do on my team, but ultimately your team has to give you the platform to let you do that.
What is something technical you learned that you've applied?
And then he said that part. I want to see if he says anything else about the 2 year, because I know he has one more clip in here. Because boom.
You a question, how
You asked me one question, and then this is we're gonna stop.
how did
And that's it, really. I thought it was more, but that's really it. So, I love that. When I saw that, it was just like at the time, that's when I wish, as you can see a year ago, that's when I was in graduate school. They said that was a year ago, but I think that's when they clicked it. But that's when I was in graduate school, man, and I just wish I could have been live streaming like I'm doing now. And I do feel like since we've been live streaming, man, I feel like we've been seeing change slowly. I think some people watch us and they really take some things into consideration what we're talking about, because some of this stuff be bull crap, man, what they be talking about out here. Before we jump back into it, a lot of things like why they can't freeze tuition rates, why they just don't raise it like slowly. And actually in Georgia, the University System of Georgia, because I'm in Georgia, they actually just raised the tuition rate about 1%. It's not a bad thing. I guess in perspective, they only raised it a little bit. And they said they've been raising it below, like, even though they raised it, they've been way below the inflation rate. And so I guess that's good, but it's still, still work to be done. And I always highlight the positive in some things and see it through, But yeah, Palantir, man, they said, look, once again, real quick before we go to the next segment, a lot of brilliant people are about to be told they don't fit the profile. Your admission system is flawed, filter. And it's something you should really consider. You are that person. I always got to tell you are that person. Like, don't, like the kid said, we put a lot of emphasis on prestige when you go to a school. And don't get me wrong, sometimes schools matter. Some people don't want to take the stairs. Some people want to say, look, if I go to this school, man, I can just skip a lot of things and I can just jump straight into it and be in a better position. Some people believe that. And so some people they want the resources. They want the connections. And I feel that, I went to a high school that didn't have not a lot of resources. Like my basketball team, if I tell the story, my basketball team literally we did not have a locker room to get dressed in. We got dressed in the auditorium. And we used to warm up in the auditorium before getting ready to, go out and warm up for the games. Our wrestling team practiced in the auditorium and got the gym when it was available. And they won they probably was like one of the most winning programs at the high school, honestly. And it just makes you think, like, and I wanted to go to college that had resources. I did. I was tired of not having resources and being told what we really what we can't do because of the resources. And when you get told that so much, you are forced to get creative. You are forced to have to figure out ways to do this and do that. And you're just naturally going to be like creative, like just naturally. And so just remember that you make the school, wherever school you end up going to, starting at, I just want you to stay off campus. Like, depending on if they not paying you and you got to do the speaking on behalf methodology, stay off campus. Don't get a meal plan. Don't stay on campus. Don't get a meal plan. I did say it right. Don't stay on campus in the dorms. Don't get a meal plan. And guys, take your time. Sometimes taking your time in school is the best route because that's less money you have to pay. Part-time is cheaper than full-time. Like, they say you pay more over time being part-time, but do you care? Like, you had the money right there for that semester. You had the money. They got the money. So, like, that's one of those bull crap stats or they try to do. I read about in graduate school, like part-time, you pay more over time. Nobody cares about that. I can pay it this semester. That's what I care about. I can pay it this semester. And I know when I'm done, I don't have to worry about it no more. That's why I love graduate school. I was part-time in graduate school. Yeah, I could have got done in one, but it took me 2. Did I miss anything? No. Was I even getting jobs while I was in graduate school? No. So I didn't miss, and that's just from my career field, higher ed. But I'm telling you because to hopefully prove a point. So I love that post, man. As you can see, I loved it. The comments, I'm pretty sure they got some bad comments in here. I'm not sure. But it goes to back one. It's like one of those things, like a Google. Remember, Palantir is kind of doing that Google thing where I do want to say that they're doing like the Google, like, look, come to us, we'll teach you how to work AI, do things that nobody else can do with AI. But remember, if you don't have your education, you're only kind of depending where you go, you kind of can't be flexible about like, I want to go to another job, I don't have the education. Some other jobs might say, I want you to have something, for some reason, I don't know, but they might say, I want you to have something. And so I always keep that in mind. I feel strongly that education gives you flexibility, associate's degree, bachelor's degree, master's degree. Because when I get laid off, or if I ever get laid off, knock on wood, I can go somewhere else and get a job. And no matter what it is, because I have the education piece. I just have to keep that in mind. Because a lot of people always say, like, what's the point of getting a degree? And so I did it. Y'all, if y'all see my thumbnail, you know that I use Trump, because apparently Trump called himself Jesus. And I thought that was so funny. And I wasn't the only one that used that as a thumbnail, as part of a thumbnail. I was like, yo, I'm using that just off GP, just using it. And I thought that was a little bit hilarious because I'm just like, yo, but I'm not gonna go into detail about it because that's not my type of, this is not our type of channel. But we did want to just highlight that. We just wanted to talk about, like, pinch it in there a little bit. Man, debt free degree. Speaking on behalf, man, that's what we talk about. How you can save money in college. That is what we talk about, though. That's what we talk about, man. Like, yeah, that's what we talk about. Hold on real quick, y'all. I'm trying to make sure that's the next one. I did these topics yesterday. Let me see something. So the next one is, let me pull it up for you guys. Like I said, I wish it was videos to some of this stuff. That would save me a lot of but it's cool though. So first off, foremost, I want to say LinkedIn. He definitely posted on LinkedIn as well. Y'all finna see, we finna talk about Preston Cooper's article, but more of the reason. So, and I don't think the Department of Education posted it on their website. All right, yeah, I'll use this. So I'm gonna start with, this is the, okay. As far as I know, the inside higher ed outlet is left wing. And as far as I know, I don't really know what AEI. I don't know if they are right or they got like right writers or left writers. I don't know. But Preston Cooper is considered a right winger, I believe, when he comes to writing his higher education perspective. He's like usually, I believe, supporting the Republican side, and inside higher ed is very left wing. And so I say that to say, because the graduate school used to use inside higher ed often for credible stuff, and I went to a left wing. Apparently now I know I went to a left wing school, and it was new to me too, that when I started graduate school, that higher education is political. Like, some schools have a Republican curriculum, right-wing curriculum. Some schools have left-wing curriculum. And I didn't consider that at the time. I didn't. I don't even think you would consider that as an 18-year-old. Maybe your parents will, but it's one of those things like, if I had known, you so young in that situation, you like trying to pick a school, you just want to go to the school. And then it's like, true though, they do say you pick a school that fits your culture or fits you, because you do become that after so many years, 4 or 5 years, right? You start to just be around people and it starts to be acceptable. Then you go somewhere else, they're like, no, we don't do that. This is how it goes on the job, state, like all that factors into like later. And didn't mean to go down that rabbit hole, but that's a real rabbit hole. So what's going on in Department of Higher Ed right now is that, as we talked about, if you've been rocking with us, there's been a new accreditation theoretically going on. Has not officially happened, but it has been going on. And we probably talked about the 151-page document, and I was like, 151 pages, we're not going through that on the live screen. Like, that would be a 10-hour live screen or longer. And so they've been talking about it, and they've been like the undersecretary, we mentioned Nicholas Kent, and I'm not going to sit here and act like I just know Nicholas Kent like the back of my hand, but he's part of the Trump administration. He has a background. We looked at his background, go look at some past videos. But this is the group: Linda, Nicholas Kent, maybe Trump. I don't think so. But, these people are trying to bring new accreditations into market. And essentially they're going to be changing a lot of things. And so that's what this is about. They're meeting up at Washington, D.C. this whole week, literally overhauling the way accreditation is right now. And so what Preston Cooper, I'm always thankful for this research that NCES Higher Ed, all these people, because that's, they put a lot of time into this. And so, and I enjoy it. I get to do the little highlight reels of it. And so, as NCES Higher Ed, because this is left, and then Preston Cooper has a right-wing view. And so new accreditation rules could open a can of worms in higher ed, as per se. They say that the draft proposals up for discussion this week could change how accreditors, y'all see I got my free article. They sound, I don't know. Like, I'm signed up though. I don't get it. Could change how accreditors oversee colleges and what they measure. But some say they violate existing federal law. And this was written by Jessica Blake. Jessica Blake always writing a lot of stuff. And so they say that, why is it at stake? Oh, stakes are high as the Trump administration looks to rewrite the rules governing accreditation in the first of 2-week-long rulemaking sessions starting today, which was on Monday. Should be yesterday on April 13th. Yeah. And so the overhaul could dramatically change who is in charge of academic oversight and what they evaluate when determining whether an institution should have access to federal aid, which is a big deal, because if your institution doesn't have access to federal aid and you go to this school not thinking about it, and I think a lot of people are going, depending on how they implement this, because they might not even get implemented, depending on the next administration. And so that's already 4 or 5 more years of business we got easily. You see what I'm saying? And so it depends if this gets executed. Like, we don't even know if another Republican comes in, are they going to follow through with this? Definitely I'm not saying I guarantee, I'm just saying I believe that the Democratic side is not going to follow through with this, because Democrats made it real clear we don't like this, we don't support this. And so I just hope the students don't be affected because of the schools who are not meeting that threshold actually lose their federal aid while the students are going there. And that's going to create a lot of problems. I said this in April 14th, 2026, and I probably said it back then as well. But I didn't understand it as much back then. But now it's starting to become more clear, and then you could tell that the people who are writing are making it more clear. So then I jumped here because I read this one first. So for college accreditation, long overdue changes are coming. And remember, this is by Preston Cooper, senior fellow. You know, this is an op-ed. So remember, op-ed is very opinionated. It's somebody's opinion. I learned about that in grad school, using my graduate skills. And so they said negotiated rulemaking, or he said negotiated rulemaking. Negotiated rulemaking, the process where stakeholders work together to draft regulations related to higher ed, is back. This time, college accreditation is the topic of the day. So starting next week, which is now, accreditation, innovation, moderation, AIM, the AIM committee, which is going at this is going on in Washington, D.C., not as we speak, but this whole week. And I know it's like, man, does it, you know, Henry, this kind of, you know, like it's really important, man, because like, you know, a lot of college decisions, sometimes you're basing it off of like the institution, but the institution is only carrying out what happens on the political level. And you know, I always think about my peers, like how we got hit by this and we wasn't aware, or our parents wasn't aware, right? And because I'm gonna show you a real life example, because my brother actually experienced this without knowing. And so starting next week, as we said, AIM, it was a 151-page proposed amendment. I'll be honest with you. I went through it a little bit. You can say last night. Last night I went through it a little bit, took a look at it. It was very written law type. And I do think, shout out to the higher ed professionals, I think we should do a higher ed class learning how to determine and decode law, because a lot of things when these higher education acts or looking at these documents when I was in grad school, I was really reading these, not reading, but decoding these documents, because they write it in law terminology. So that was like a whole like deciphering I was learning. And so they said the draft language can and will change as the committee considers it, but it's likely that the education department will move forward with the core of the proposed rule. And then if they move forward with this, I'll just go into his segment. Then we're going to bounce back to the other one. Because remember, this is right lean. This is the right view and the left view. And we're merging them together as a view. Because if we go through this, once we start going through this, you're going to be like, I was not in my head. I was like, wait a minute. It's one perspective. And then I was like, really considering, like, zoom out for y'all a little bit. I was really considering, I was like, dang, wait a minute. They don't like this. They like this though. I was like, it's crazy. I was going through it like really like, dang, this sounds good. But some of the things I do like, some of the things I don't like. And so the proposal represents a massive step forward for what has been, frankly, a broken form of college oversight. Now, if you know me, I have been saying that college is broken and then that they need to fix higher education. The thing that I don't like about what the right side talks about and the right wing and left wing, what they don't talk about, what I don't like on neither side, is they don't talk about how college presidents make millions of dollars. They don't talk about how vice presidents, provosts, they don't talk about how they make enormous amount of dollars. They don't talk about that. They don't talk about none of that. You know, they don't talk about none of that. Big secret. If I ask anybody a question about how much does a college president make, I don't know. You know? And so I think it's very interesting. I think it's very interesting. You know? Very interesting. Let's keep on. And so he said, right here, he said, I will focus on 4 major provisions. I will focus on 4 parts that stood out particularly impactful. And so his 4 perspectives that he felt like that was impactful: creating a smoother pathway for aspiring accreditors to gain recognition from the education department, discouraging accreditors from ratcheting up degree or credential requirements for licensed professionals, requiring accreditors to look more keenly at student achievement outcomes at the colleges they oversee, improving transferability of credit between accredited colleges. You know, this was my main thing I was liking. I was like, okay, we do need to improve that. And then, because we talk about this all the time. And then I wonder if I click on that. I didn't even click on it. Oh, I can't click on it. And then he talked about ratcheting up degree or credential. And that's one I want to focus on too. And then do I want to talk about that one? Because the outcome, I got my own view on the outcome. You know, like we'll get into that. So I'm gonna jump straight into wrenching up degree or credential. So wrenching it up. Let me see. He put it in here. Control F. This is why we love it. I'll be honest with y'all. I spell a lot better when y'all watching me for some reason. So remember, he said fighting credential inflation. So accreditors, which oversee programs that provide professional training, have a shameful history of wrenching up credential requirements. So when you wrench up a credential requirements, they're talking about how, like, if you are going to school for, I always use it. If you go to school for like, no, actually, I'm gonna use my example. I went to school for higher education, right? I don't have to take a board test. I didn't have to stay in school for like 3 or 4 years. I just had to really do 1 year grad school, but it took me 2 because I was part-time. So all of a sudden they said, look, in order for you to become a higher education professional, you need to spend 3 years in grad school and you got to take a state board test to show us that you demonstrate the knowledge. And you know, that's all money. Like, you know, the test gonna cost money. The test gonna cost money. Them wrenching up the profession as like, oh, this is a whatever professional career field. So now they're going to charge you a lot more money to go to grad school for this, like law school, physical therapy, med school, things like that, right? So that's what he's talking about here. And so he said in the past, physical therapists needed only a bachelor's degree to get a license. That's all they need. The only reason I can speak on the physical therapy part because my brother went through it. And so he's a physical therapist. In 2016, we were in high school, me and him. So he could, if he was older at the time, all he had to do to get his physical therapy license was, hey, maybe I just need to get it sounded like he just needed a bachelor's and just go take the test. That's it. Then they did this. The Commission on Accreditation in Physical Therapy, CAPTE, decreed that it will approve only doctoral programs in physical therapy. Because now he's a doctor in physical therapy. So what that means, after he got his bachelor's degree, as I tell you all why you should start a 2-year bridge to a 4-year, he had to go to another layer of school, upper school, which is called graduate school. He had to go to upper level graduate school who offered physical therapy, doctoral level. He had to go do that. And so what that means, he had to pay doctoral level prices for school. You know? And that is a barrier for all my people out there who are left wing, right? You're all like, I'm just saying, like, I'm independent. I'm being real with you. If you are left wing, that's a barrier. That's not fair, right? Most will say that's not fair because then that's extra money. You got to take a test. Then you have to do residency. Then you have to. Okay. Right wing, I don't know at this point. I don't know if they caused it. I don't know if left wing caused it, but right wing is like, that's wrong though in this case. Right wing is saying it's wrong. I don't know. You know, I don't know. I'm just saying and giving the story in perspective. That's what I'm saying. And so we would have to go see who was in office. We would have to see who initiated that. We would have to see who approved it. We got to do all that homework. And we didn't do all that. We're just reading what Preston Cooper said in this moment before we go back to our other article. And so he said, since graduation from CAPTE approved program is required for licensure, if I said it right, the minimum degree required for entry in this occupation effectively rose from a bachelor's degree to a doctoral degree, as we just said, because he had to get a doctoral degree to become a physical therapist. Then he had to take the test. The test ain't free either. And so aspiring physical therapists must now spend 7 years in school. So what that means, you're going to spend 4 in undergrad, and you already know student loans. Everybody be talking about these student loans. Then you got to go do an additional 3. And grad prices ain't near as affordable as undergraduate. So grad prices are like, you need to be in the stock market or working in real estate and be like, all right, now I'm about to go back to school. It's a barrier. I'm being real. It's a barrier. And so you really have to be on your P's and Q's. Like for somebody to be like going straight through, you know, it was stressful. it was stressful, man. Being there on that journey with him, that was a stressful journey for him. I hope he watched his live stream because I'm definitely pumping him up. That's why I be telling him, I be like, bro, you is that, like, I'd be like, bro, you is the man. Like, I'd be like, in that young nudie voice, I'd be like, boy, you is the man. I ain't said the other part in that, but if you know that what nudie say, he be like, hey, man, you is the man. And like, he is the man, bro, because like, I don't know too many physical therapists, you know, and he's helping me on my recovery as well. Like that's like, man, like that's another reason, like, speaking on behalf, man, that's like underrated, highly underrated. And when you understand what happened, how it got there, shout out to Preston Cooper in this moment, it's like, dang, because I didn't know that until I read this last night. I was like, dang, so if he would have known that, we could have took a different approach on how to become a physical therapist. This is why I always say, for my, now I'm about to break it down in the speaking on behalf way. This is why I say, like, for my speaking on behalf, this is why you should start at a 2-year college. If you know your end goal is to be a lawyer, physical therapist, but you're coming from a certain background, you're starting at a certain point. If you want to become like a lawyer, physical therapist, something in med school, I strongly encourage you to start at a 2-year college, because that associate's degree is going to allow you to work and go to school. So you're already going against the traditional way of college. That's my perspective of going to college. That's how you beat the traditional way. If you go to school straight through university, don't work, the student loans are waiting for you when you cross the stage. They're waiting for you when you cross the stage. And remember, when you're at your graduation, they're going to ask you to donate your money back. You know, donate to the school now, even though they know you got all these student loans. That's why we didn't walk. I got to reinforce that. That's why I didn't walk for graduate school. I did not walk the stage. I did that for y'all. I didn't walk the stage because of that. And that's going to age well. I know it's going to age well. I wasn't going for that. And we probably I seen clips of students walking out during graduation, like real life walking out during graduation. When I was at my brother who's getting his physical therapy degree, getting his physical therapy doctoral degree, they were walking out like, hey, I'm ready to go. These folks are asking me to give money back. They getting up and walking out. And when you have a public of distrust in your students who are walking out as you are literally congratulating them, you have a problem. You have a problem. In stock market perspective, pay attention, because you're going to see it in the consumer behavior before you see it really take effect. And that was years ago. It's just been going downhill. It's been going downhill. And so you have to bring some trust back. You have to be open with the students. Now, I feel like you have to really be giving them information, putting it in a way like you put like these sports or these, like, I'm not talking about sports, but just giving an example, like the way they market these other things, they have to, hey man, y'all need to up this marketing. Y'all got to really put it in front of them. They're not looking for it. And as long as you're not looking for it, hopefully, you know, I get put in your face so you can save a lot of money for school. But you have to start at a 2-year. Now, if you are going to a school that's paying you, remember I told you, you know, you can listen, but this is really for my people out there who are like, man, I need other ways to go to school. I need to figure out how, like, because my end goal is to be a lawyer. My end goal is to be a doctor. My end goal is to be a veterinarian. Like, it's expensive to go to veterinarian school. Help the animals. So you can get an associate's degree, I believe, in veterinary if you want to, but I always want to work in a career field, man, that can make you a lot of money early. I'm going through that now with my bro. He trying to say, man, look. He like, man, look. He in sales, y'all. He be like, man, you need to get up out of it. He was like, man, you need to put the speaking on behalf on pause for a year. And I was like, what? He was like, you need to put speaking on behalf on pause for a year, man. Come sell these cars with me, man. Come sell these cars with me. I'm like, man, you crazy. He was like, man, I'm just saying, like, da 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 da. I'm like, man, I haven't even been with y'all for a full year consistently yet. Like going live every week, tweaking these thumbnails, tweaking these titles. I haven't even been with y'all for a full year, man. Already trying to snatch me out. Like, bro, you ain't even give it a year yet. We ain't even let it marinate. I haven't even been consistent for 2 years because of school, man. School takes a lot. Trying to go live, then got to turn around, And like I really put my all out on these live streams. It's not like I get on these live screens and I'm not like, I'm just, I don't know, showing you pictures and theoretically talking about things that's have no idea to be true about higher ed. Because you know one thing, we don't condone these fake higher education platforms out here. If you ain't got no degree or you ain't worth to nobody higher education college, if you ain't, hey man, don't you talk about no college, man. Don't you talk about no college, because if I find out, you might just be on my YouTube channel. You might just be on this channel, man. And it's just being real though, man, because y'all, everybody, man, like that's that y'all coming out. That's that Southern in me. I really believe everybody should go to college. I was one of the biggest ones who did not believe in going to college. I believe in you should get a certificate. I think I say that every live stream, if not every other live stream. You should get a certificate. Go straight into work for it. Go straight into workforce. Go straight into the workforce. Don't know why I couldn't get that out. I used to be that person. I didn't believe in school at first. After I started getting my education, got that associate's degree, and stepped into a better paying job, I said, well, I could have not got this job if I didn't have a associate's degree. But remember, there are a lot of things that keep you from getting certain things at your job. Remember, guys, you have to be a well-rounded individual. You might not get these jobs that you want because of your attitude. You might not get these jobs because it goes back to the sports, because I play sports. There was plenty of people who were way better than me at sports, by far. Like when I was in high school, but they wasn't on the team. But like some people wasn't on the team because, what's that I'm looking for? Because of grades, right? Or attitude, right? Priorities, right? Like, you know, you got practice at 6 o'clock. You got to school at 3:15 at the time I was in high school. I don't know if it's changed, 3:25. And, you know, you got practice in 3 hours. So I know by 6. So before I need to be in, really not in the gym getting dressed at 6. I need to be on the floor stretching with my team, warming up with my team at 6 p.m. And so people weren't doing it. It's the same thing in life. You like, I know we hear it, but it's like, it's really the same thing. Like people pay attention to that, because who wants to put you in their establishment, business, government agency, whichever one, and you don't have these things in order? So now your value of a degree is going down. Now your value of a degree is pointless. One of the reasons why I love my 2-year, we had a code. We had core values, you would say. You should dress properly when you come to class. You should talk to everyone as if they are, you know, with respect. Even though I learned that from my parents. You know, just all these things that come from my parents, military, like they had these core values early. So I was getting all this discipline and structure and listening, because, you know, at the end of the day, unless you are your own boss, you know, and I was not my own boss at the time, still am not fully. And so you have to abide by the code until you don't have to abide by the code, I guess. But everything has, man, I'm going on a rant. Y'all know what I mean. Let's get back to it. We still talking about the aim, but it all falls back into that though. It all falls back into aim. It falls all back into what is going on with the accreditation. And so the next one I said, what's the next one we talked about? Improving transfer. Yeah, I know I gotta talk about that one. I gotta jump to that one. So ensuring traceability of credit. So right here, this is no secret. We talk about this all the time. This is why speaking on behalf is so big on why you should start at a 2-year and bridge to a 4-year under the articulation agreement or pathway agreement. Schools are trying to do this more. I'll be honest with you. If they make this a thing where it's like really effective, where like colleges, or like they make it where like, hey, if you're nationally accredited and you're coming from a 2-year, your 2 years nationally accredited, that 4 years nationally accredited, they just accept your credit. Like, hey, bro, because it's really no different of where you took your college algebra, unless you took it at home, I guess. But there's no really big difference in how college algebra is college algebra. And that's what they're making the case of about ensuring about your transferability of credit, which I like. So they say universities can be snobby, especially about the transfer credit. That is so true. As an academic advisor with work experience, even as a person who went through the transfer process early, I got the game from I would say OGs, or I got the game from executive leadership. And they told me that real early. You want to make sure your credits transfer. Do not transfer regular. You want to be under the articulation agreement, a pathway agreement with these schools, because they said in simple terms, if you transfer and you're not part of in this, we don't have a partnership with this school, we won't accept your credits. And I did what I think any logical person would do before speaking on behalf was invented. I called the school because I was considering, fun fact, I was considering going to Augusta University. And Augusta University told me straight up, like, we don't take all your credits. And I said, why? All my credits didn't fit their curriculum. I was going to retake a lot of classes because the way their curriculum was set up, I was like, bro, I didn't take none of these. It was like kind of math heavy at their school, for example, when I was going. But it was like a, like I'm in now, liberal arts, but it was kind of like math heavy though. So I couldn't go to that school because that's where my brother, that's where he was getting his doctoral at. And he wanted me to go there. And I was going to be undergrad, and we never went to school together. And that would have been pretty dope. Sometimes I wish I could have worked around it, figured out something, but the cookie didn't crumble that way. And so he said one student profile by the Associated Press had to retake several classes after transferring from a community college to California State University, Bakersfield, at a cost of $20,000. And I tell you guys, we say you over $10,000 or more. Look, they transferred to I'm pointing with my hand. They transferred from a community college, but I'm pretty sure this person who transferred didn't check to see like, oh, my credit's just gonna transfer. I'm good. And they didn't. And so now they had to probably get student loans or pay that $20,000 out of pocket if they had it to, like stay at that university essentially. And you don't want to be that person. That's why I always say go to a school that has an articulation agreement with your community college. That's one of the biggest things I talk about. And then it says because a university will literally turn it down, like I said, because it's rigor. Because community college is not as rigorous as a university. False. My community college was harder than the university. Like, big hard. Like, man, I went to my university. I struggled with one class at the university. Everything else, I was getting A's. That's the most A's I ever made in my life. I didn't even get that many A's in high school. I didn't even get that many A's in middle school. I was getting A's so much, I thought I was like, is my instructor even grading my paper? I really was wondering. And when you talk to your classmates, you start learning. So then you be like, okay, they are grading the paper. And then, yeah, transfer students lose around half of the credits. That's why I want you to, this is why I did the research. This is why I always say transfer to a school, once again, that has articulation agreement with the university. Pay that 2 year, that has an agreement with your university. Transfer students lose around half of their credits. Why? He got a link in here. Why though? Oh, it's a document, 63 pages. Students need more information to help reduce challenges in transferring college credits. Oh, I wonder why speaking on behalf came about. Because this information is not out there for you. Do you want to read this 63-page document? Or do you want to just hear me tell you what you should do? I got a disclaimer. You can ask the school, hey, what's our articulation agreement? Hey, what's a pathway agreement? Hey, that saved me a lot of time. That was very convenient. Thank you, speaking on behalf. You didn't even have to stop in and stay for a whole hour. You stopped in for about 1 or 2 minutes and got that right there. So, like, but people don't value education. People don't value, even people with degrees don't value education. And I got a story to tell y'all one day. I ain't never gonna forget this story. It happened today at work, man. I ain't never gonna forget this story. I'm gonna tell y'all this story, like, hopefully I play this back one day and just be watching. I'm like, damn, what story was I talking about? It was Henry was working at his job as an academic advisor at the time. And I kid you not, I said, ain't no way. I said, ain't no way. That's all I can say right now. And so it says students need more information to help reduce challenges. So it's like, hey, why they losing credits? I really want to get to the main part. Oh, look at here, index. And then it says right here. It says an estimated 35% of first-time students transfer schools over a 6-year period, according to Education's most recent BPS data on students who started in the academic year 2003-2004 cohort. Transfer patterns are similar for the cohort of students in ongoing PBS study who started in academic year 2011, 2012. Then they say 2012 cohort. In addition, the transfer rate among students who originally, y'all probably can't see that, my bad. In addition, the transfer rate among students who originally attended a private for-profit school was lower than among who attended a private for-profit school was lower than among students who attended public or private nonprofit. Remember, don't go to school. Don't go to a private school that's for-profit. Like, that's like conning you 101. And so I want to see the part where it's obvious why I dissected, guys, because I dissected so easily. Let me see. The student. So right here, they said the most common transfer, as you see, I want y'all to see this because I'm literally putting myself on the spot right now. They said the most common transfer path was from 2-year public to 4-year public school. See figure 1. I think it's figure 2. What figure? This is not even figure 1. All right. From 2-year to 4-year public school. Transfer patterns in the 2012 cohort also show that students transfer between public schools at a higher rate than among other types of schools based on midpoint data. Then they said right here, estimated percentage of transfer students by transfer path academic years 2003 to 2008, 2003 to 4 to 2008, 2009. They said 2-year to 4-year. Look, 26.2, I believe, percentage. 26.2% transfers from 2-year to 4-year. Then it says right here, 2-year to 2-year, 12.6. Some students do that, but a lot are going to do 2-year to 4-year. I was in that data. Well, not that data. This is based on the past. And it's like, I was in that 26.2. I transferred from a 2-year to a 4-year. Then they're saying like a lot of students do this too. I feel like when they catch up, because they're basing it off 2012 and stuff, but a lot of students do 4-year to 4-year. A lot of students do 4-year to 4-year. They're like, this school was cheaper. And a lot of students, if you go watch one of our old videos, like just go down. It's like we did a public interview. Can't wait to do those again. Students don't even know about 2-year colleges. You know? And so I used to be like, why they answering that question? But it says additionally of students who transfer a majority, about 75% originally attended a public school. They're not mentioning the pathway agreement, as you see. It's more in this document. I know. Of course, we can't do the whole thing. But remember, you can always come and find this and go to it yourself and be like, But stakeholders said students can face challenges transferring credits between schools without agreements or schools of different types. One student's perspective, one student wished that his school took greater care to ensure students know exactly which classes. Let me zoom in for you real quick. This is a student's perspective. One student wished that his school took greater care to ensure students know exactly which classes they should take to avoid losing credits and incurring additional costs as a result of transferring schools. He is worried that he might have to pay twice for classes he already taken. Source: student story collected from a higher education organization. That's one of the reasons why I became an academic advisor. But you're going to go to this university, right? Because universities could do better. 2 years could do better. The whole higher education RAM can do better. That's one of the reasons I'm like, oh, y'all all playing this game, huh? Okay, so we're going to learn how to play the game too. And so, look, this is why I say, like, bruh, like, imagine you as a consumer, because you're essentially a consumer. It's articles on this, numerous articles about how schools treat students like consumers. Some schools run a corporate structure institution. So, like, a school treats their school like corporate on the work side. I worked at one. Georgia Tech runs a structure like that. And it's not bad. I don't think it's bad. I think it's like they're just more like corporate. And if you know corporate, you know corporate. And that's just how they run it. I don't know. It works for Georgia Tech. At least it seems like it works for them. But Georgia Tech is not a good place to work. Accordingly, you can go look at them. They have a high turnover rate. And this is a prime example that you're like, so presidents make millions of dollars to not help you save money in school. So what are they making the millions of dollars for? To bring in millions of dollars of money, Henry. Schools run off of donations, federal money, And that's where my perspective comes in, because I'm like, I feel like you would get more students if you give them good prices in school. If everybody had the proper pay in higher ed, I feel like if the president didn't get so much, if the top didn't get so much money, let me say this, if the executive level didn't get so much of the money and you could spread the money out amongst the institution, that would be good for the workers. Then we start getting into the part, okay, how can we help the students save money? We get as many articulation agreements and pathway agreements as we can. That works in our favor. That's what we need, our negotiators. We need some business people. We break the, and hopefully they have some higher education background. You got some people that can run numbers. And like you start building this unique model of higher education that can really help students save money. Apparently the left wing and right wing, when it comes to this, is like they're trying to really fix the higher education system. Like it's really just bad on both sides in perspective. And generally, if you're independent like me, you're just like, really, bro, it's just really terrible overall. Like, why haven't we not fixed this? Like, and so that's what we're trying to figure out. And that's why I'm trying to help you all. That's why I started this live stream once again, to help you all so you don't be like this student. We don't know how this student ends, but it's like, real quick before we go back, the successful transfer of course credits can be hampered when the two schools involved have not established an agreement that specifies how credit transfers will occur. It says, as we previously reported, many schools enter into transfer agreements or partnerships, often referred to as articulation agreements, which specify which course credits meet program or degree requirements at one or more schools. See App 2 for an example of a transfer guide based on articulation agreement. Now I gotta go find that. We cooking. Hey. Did it pass it? It says see app 2, but where's app 2? Now we got to find app 2. I want to find that now. Where is it? App 2. Yo. That's not. Oh, no. All right, cool. I'm looking for that app 2. Y'all see I typed in app 2, but it's not taking me to it. Let me see. What's app 2? Let me do a transfer guide. Maybe that'll pop up. I'll do transfer guide real quick. Yeah. Oh, it's the pendants. I hope I said it right. Pendants. Take me to it. And this is what it looks like. Oh my goodness. Underrated live stream. I told you this live stream was gonna be one of those ones, bro. I told you this live stream is gonna be one of those ones. I said this live stream was gonna be one of those ones, mama. I told you this live stream was gonna be one of those ones, mom. I told her. I said it. This is one of those guys, y'all don't know how bad man, if I can go back to the first video when I wanted to show y'all like what was our articulation agreement, I had so many ideas and I was just trying to think of the best way to show you, and this is the best way to show you. This is an example of a transfer guide based on the articulation agreement. Literally, this is a perfect example. Zoom in some more because it looks like y'all can't see it. I'll move. And so look, principles of economics. I took Econ 101, principles of macroeconomics. Hey, look, it's going to transfer over here as Econ 2110, principles of macroeconomics. Okay, this changed, right? That's why I always be telling you all that one, you see the difference, 1,000, that 100, it came over here as a 2,000. That 1,000, it's over here as a 1,000 as well. Well, what about these, Henry? These are business. These are business classes. They got 3s and 4s on them. Great question. Because this looks like, why do they do it that way? Actually, this, I thought it was the 2-year school. This is a bachelor's administration. This is an associate's, I think. That should be AAA. Yeah, Associate of Arts. So it's really going this way. It's going right to left. I'm sorry. I was so excited. I jumped straight into it. But you see it's number 1,000, 2,000 levels in here. Over here, they got business classes. But they actually said, look, fundamentals of information technology, information system. They said, look, they might actually take that if you transfer over there. It looks like it. It's just an example. Like, this is the outline. And so, but this is training your eyes. Imagine being in high school, a freshman in high school, a professional counselor in high school, and you're like, oh my goodness, man, this large screen, I can't you not. Oh, hey, Al, you done creeped up, tippy-toeing. I woke you up. I'm sorry. Okay, good. I didn't wake up. And then zoom out. But that's pretty much it. Other stuff, it's more in here, man. This is a great document. Preston Cooper put in here. That's my first time looking at it. But I knew it was going to be good because I had a feeling. Didn't know, but I had a feeling. And then we're almost done. It says, so the proposed rules have no time for snobbery. Accreditors must ensure their member institutions have standards that presume the transferability of credits earned at another institution accredited by a nationally recognized accrediting agency count towards general education requirements or electives. I'm going to read that again because I said some gibberish jargon. They pretty much said that the accreditors, the proposed rules have no time for fluff, bullcrap. Accreditors must ensure their member institutions have standards that, quotation, presume the transferability of credits earned at another institution accredited by a nationally recognized accrediting agency. So if it's an accrediting agency, if it's nationally recognized, hey man, just accept the credit essentially. And it says counted towards your gen ed because your gen eds are gen ed. Notice they're saying gen ed. When I got my associate's degree, before I go back to here, when I got my associate's degree, y'all, the gen ed transfer with no problem. That wasn't really the case I was worried about because I got a associate's degree in gen ed. I took the biology, I took the chemistry because I knew it was going to apply to my bachelor's degree when I got to my university. But I knew I had to take one more elective that was a science or something like science. It could have been statistics. If I look back, I should have took statistics, and now I'm gonna find myself taking statistics now. You can never run from it. And so when I had took the welding classes, the actual business classes, 1,000 level, 2,000 level, and these other classes I was just taking, HR classes, human resources learning classes, and those classes got applied as 1,000, 2,000 electives for my bachelor's. So when I got to my university, I didn't have to waste time. Like in swimming, PE classes at universities, these bogus classes they have that waste time, I guess. Because I heard students tell me, they said they had me taking my academic advisor had me taking like aerobics, swimming, all these classes, and it had nothing to do with my degree. And that was their reason why they started a 2-year. I mean, that's why they came back to a 2-year, so they could eventually go back to university. And that's another thing. Students, be on your P's and Q's. There's a lot more resources out here. Every institution is different. Every state is different. But they have a lot of ways how you can track your classes. A lot of ways. So, yeah. Yeah. And so, that was the right wing view, though. That was the right wing. This is Preston Cooper. He's a right winger, I think, or he likes the right wing view, and he is supporting the 151 page document. Like and subscribe. I have not said that but once this live stream. Like and subscribe if you stop by. And they said right-leaning think tanks applaud the changes, right? It seemed like I was like, because I ain't gonna lie, I liked those two things mostly. And so it says, yeah, right-leaning think tanks applaud the changes released last week in a 151-page draft, calling them an overdue means to ensure campus civil rights compliance, address college costs. Now, I'm not getting into the civil rights compliance on the campus because college campuses are supposed to have freedom of speech. If many don't know that, they're supposed to, because from my experience as a student, I have seen some things on college campuses. Me, Al, our whole college circle can definitely say we've seen some crazy people come on our college campuses, and nothing happened to them at that when we was in college. Nothing happened. Like, that's why it's like public college, like a public university. Now, private is different, but public, somebody can come on a public campus and say whatever they want. But now times are changing right now, and I don't want to go deep into that because that ain't what we own. That ain't the type of channel. Y'all can go watch some political view channels of all that. So it says address college costs and ensure institutions are held accountable for their student outcomes. Now, I did want to mention that because, as we said, right-leaning think tanks, this is kind of left-leaning or independent, but like I said, inside higher ed is mostly left-leaning. And so I do believe schools should be held accountable, but I do understand that colleges can't control that to a degree, because colleges, now it is college, it's really everybody's playing a role in this, because you got to think about movies. Like, colleges are in movies, like universities. Like, if you go watch any movie, right, they're going to be representing universities. They're not representing community colleges. They're not. So if you see a college in a movie, guess what? You're thinking like, maybe I want to go to that school because that was my favorite movie, and I've been watching this favorite movie since I was little. So you've been seeing this college, and you only went because it was in your favorite movie. You didn't think about the cost. You didn't think about the major. You didn't think about nothing else. You just said, whatever they got here, I'm cool. And that's not the way you go to school. And that's what I'm saying. Like, the return on investment. I was just talking to somebody at when I was doing physical therapy, and I was saying, like, I asked them, I said, how much you think a college president gets paid? I said, just say a number. He was really thinking. I was like, just say a number. He was like, he said like 70 a year, 70,000 a year. I said, man, college presidents make millions. Multi-millions. Depending on the university, it made multi-millions. And I said, on the 2-year college level, they made like 6 figures, depending. Probably made millions depending on the 2-year. And he looked at me like, huh? Like, really? I was like, yeah, higher education pays. They make it seem like it because they're humble, which is a great thing. But yeah, the executives in higher ed, they probably don't like me for this, but they make a lot of money. They make a lot of money. And so, yeah. So the return on investment. So a student goes to like an Ivy League. If a student is going to like Harvard, Yale, but they're like, I'm going here to be a K-12 teacher, it's not bad in perspective for most. Some people say that's not bad, nothing wrong with that. But if I can't even say Ivy League, because Ivy League might want you to go to school for free, actually. Because I remember G talking about that. Like, they're literally having programs for teachers, I think. That's like free. So I can't even use that. But that's that Ivy League. But let me clarify. If you go to a top tier university, or Ivy League, actually, but I'm going to use a top tier university because I know that's more prone to happen. And what's a top tier university? If you go to like a UGA, Duke University, because you can get into these schools and not be getting paid to go there. You can really be pulling out money yourself. And so if you go into these schools I named, for example, like March Madness schools, right? Schools that are known, these schools, not because they're academics, but just because of their name and pretty much their name and branding. And you have to really consider, like, if you go to one of these March Madness schools to be a teacher, you might have some great connections. Hopefully they can help you, but you paid all this money to be a teacher. That's not a good ROI, especially if you got student loans. That's like me going to whatever March Madness school to be an academic advisor, because I'm an academic advisor. That's like me going to do that, but I'm only going to be making like between, literally, look up academic advisor salaries is between 45 to like 60 on the high end or more, depending, you know, with time and experience. It's like really kind of like a K-12 situation. That's not smart for me to do that. I'm going to just go to, luckily it worked for me because I went to a 2-year, went to a 4-year, didn't pay anything. And then I went to grad school. Did I expect grad school to give me a crazy bump in pay after going? I didn't expect it because my career field is based on time and experience and who you know. I wasn't tripping, but I got it done early and I ain't got to worry about it. I just got to keep my skills. You know, I got to stay quick for y'all. You know, I got to stay ready on the live screen, keep educating myself, going to conferences. I got to stay in the loop, you know, one day, because one day I ain't going to be able to go to a job every day. I'm going to have to stay informed on my own. I'm sorry. And so, but yeah, the return on investment, you can hold schools accountable, but schools can market it, be more accurate and not mislead students. Because when they talk about like what you can make, students don't think like, hold up, my career field, does that count for my career field? You know? So working that long, like and subscribe, working like and subscribe. And so it says, but accreditation experts, left-leaning policy analysts and student advocacy, remember, but accreditation experts, left-leaning policy analysts and student advocacy groups say the lengthy regulations, while vague and abstruse, did I say that right? Let me see.
Abstruse.
Pay attention. Man, pay attention. Abstruse. What does that mean? Abstruse means difficult to understand. That's perfect. It says left-leaning policy analysts and student advocacy groups say the lengthy regulations, while vague and hard to understand, pose a major threat to the future of institutional autonomy and America's status as a crown jewel of global higher education. And remember, I always say that. When I was reading the document, trying to understand what's up with this 151-page like accreditation, I've been saying that it kind of don't make sense. Now, I've been saying, like, I don't know either, y'all. We trying to figure this out. And remember when we had Sam on, we got to get Sam back on. Hopefully we can get him this week on Friday. But even Sam is like, bro, it's up in the air. And he's a higher level ranking higher education official. And he's like, you know, and that's why, speaking on behalf, we here to work with you, you know, like if you got questions, so you can take the questions, go back and ask your institution, you know what questions to ask. You're learning the terminology. You learning like, oh yeah, now that you say that, my kid want to be a teacher. They don't even need to go to this big school they worrying about. You know, like, you know, when you start putting things in perspective, you kind of psyching yourself out. Like, now, if you want to go to this school for, everybody has their reason why they want to do things. If you want to go to this school to party and have fun, you don't have to go to school there to do that. You can just drive and fly to the campus, like I used to say in my earlier videos. I kind of moved away from that. I guess I'm getting older. And so, like, you could just fly there. Just fly and go party. I see it all the time on YouTube. I literally just seen a video now. I'm not even going to say the name. But they literally just went to the college and just partied with the college students. Man, we can go do that now. Me and Al, we can go right now to any college and go party with them. Nobody gonna question us. Me and Al might be a little awkward because we graduates, like we technically still graduate level students in school. So, but we look young. We think we look young. We be told we look young and stuff. We still get ID, so we still, you know. But nobody's gonna question you about, hey, you go here, you supposed to party here. No, they just gonna let you in and let you spend the money. It's freaking business. It's freaking America. Dang. Common sense. So as we keep going, it says little of what's included in the draft surprised either side. President Trump and other conservatives have long seen overhauling the accreditation system as a way to reform higher ed more broadly. The draft regulations fulfill their pledges to make it easier for new accreditors to join the market and mandate what standards accreditors must and must not assess. The Secretary Nicholas Kent has described the upcoming overhaul as a revolution. Now he's taking my word. He probably just came up with it, but they've been saying that AI revolution. I was saying it's going to be a higher education revolution, but I was saying it's going to be a higher education revolution because of what Speak It On Behalf is doing. Like, we're shifting your view to understand like what is going on. This was a great freaking live screen that I'm just like, yo, but like we really are like trying to relate to you, not even trying. I feel like we are relating to you that how you can save over $10,000 or more in college. And I have to iterate that and stop before I always go to the next segments or next paragraph, because I had guidance counselors in high school. I had teachers to this day that don't really understand higher ed, and they don't care because they're not the ones going through it until their kid is going to school. And then when their kid doesn't do well, like these are professionals, guys, high school, college, like they don't care until like I literally see it every time. When their kid don't do well at a university, then they're like, maybe you should go to a community college where I work. Or maybe you should consider a community college. They don't post that though. They make it seem like a bad thing. Like you see it now a little bit, students, but you never see like one person just popping it, as we like to say, or showing it off like, yeah, I went to a community college. Like, yeah, and I, like granted, you're supposed to be humble about it, but I think if you do it the same way universities sell it, because essentially that's marketing and selling it, like, hey, our students at this university are, if they under $250,000, they can come here for free, but it's like really good in advertising. And in community colleges, 2 years, they don't really highlight it. They're kind of just like, bro, we don't make enough. Bump that. And I get it. And that's where we come in. So, yeah, I just like, man, this is going to change your life, man. It's going to help you start a family early. Get that car you want. Go study abroad if you want to study abroad, because you saved your money up. Remember, your financials, your budget, it has to be your core. You saved your money up, right? You saved your money up to now go study abroad. Now you don't have to go get student loans to go study abroad. You don't have to put people through that. So it builds you up toward that, because I didn't even get to study abroad in school. One of my buddies just went to study abroad. Shout out to him. I didn't even get to study abroad. I thought studying abroad was free for the longest. I thought that's why they offered it. It was free, but it's not. It's very much you have to pay. Normally out of pocket, unless your school has money. So, yeah, let's keep going. And so, as we go to the next one, they're talking about longtime accreditation expert and Democratic appointee on the Department of Education's Accreditation Advisory Committee said in Accreditation 101 panel Wednesday that the most important aspect of America's higher ed oversight system has been the autonomy it provides to colleges and universities, which is, in quotations, obliterated by these draft regulations. With the administration's release of their draft rules earlier this week, I would characterize those as a cluster bomb being dropped on American higher education. Dang. Some may see, that made my ears ring. And so some may see dozens of policy changes individually as small or relatively insignificant, but Shireman, if I said that right, and others warn they could be monumental. I said that, guys. These people are saying this, but remember, we're talking about higher ed. It seems boring. It seems irrelevant. It seems like it doesn't hit you. It doesn't hit you until you get to the school and you're trying to like transfer or you're trying to do these things. It doesn't hit you until you're in that situation. You're like, when did this happen? They're going to say it happened back in 2026, 2025. And then you start thinking like, okay, or it hit you back in 2018 18 or 19. You say, dang, I was in high school. That's when it hits you. And so this right now is kind of like you, like, honestly, is why I feel like I'm pretty good at liberal arts. This is like helping you like evade and dodge these problems, you know? So you can be prepared, like, oh shoot, you sitting in your chair like a king, queen, and then you just like, yeah, we dodged that. And so it says it finalized the wide range of proposals could ultimately lead to more federal control over colleges, and then colleges have their independency. And so if colleges lose their independency, that could be more work, more stress. Some people like me working in the career field, and more federal control over colleges and universities, and compel accreditors and institutions to adhere to the Trump administration's political priorities. Now, I would love if it wasn't, I agree with the Democratic side. I don't like that it's going to have the, right-leaning political priorities of right wing, or if it was left wing. I don't really like that it's going to have a administration's political priorities if this happens. And it should be independent. Higher education is kind of independent. I would say now, kind of. Only reason I say higher education is kind of independent because you got politics heavily in it. Higher education was founded essentially on politics because literally you have to get federal money from the government. And you have to get federal money. And so a lot of federal money is what pumps a lot of schools, the Georgia Techs, the UGAs, all the top-notch schools that people say they make a lot of money off sports. Probably, I know I say it sometimes, but honestly, believably, schools make a lot. Believably, is that even a word? Believably, honestly, believably, schools make a lot of money off of federal dollars, and then they can I hope I said this right. They can distribute. I said distribute. Can you say that in two ways? Okay. Okay. So you can distribute the money and how you want to distribute it. That's the side I don't really understand most times, because I thought that was I ain't gonna lie, I thought it was like the money automatically being handled properly. And then I learned when I got to school that sometimes even the professors, talking to my mentors, I would say like my mentors / professors, and we having real life conversations, like closed off, no phones and stuff, because these people can lose their job talking about this stuff. And so I was a real one. I wasn't finna report my instructors. They can say one thing. They know I'm a real one. I ain't near telling all my professors. I'm sorry. In grad school, I'm some of the realest professors I ever had. And I'm going to be 100. Shout out to Georgia State again. I know I get on to Georgia State, but those were some of the realest professors I had. Hopefully they getting paid right, because they were keeping it G. I don't know what they doing with the money. They said, I wish I got paid like the football team. I wish I got paid like the football head coach at Georgia State. Yeah, I know I got on to Georgia State about that terrible football program they got. Man, head coach made millions of dollars, multi-millions. Football team won one game. Probably won 5 games in the last 2 seasons. No exaggeration. And so, but hey, that's life, man. Life goes on. Life goes on. And I'm in the same. That little Uzi. Don't act like you in my generation. Don't act like y'all didn't listen to Lil Uzi back in high school when we was 2015, 2016-ish. He was popping then. He was popping. Everybody played Lil Uzi. I don't know if this generation still does. And so, and then before, because this document is it's a big document. So let me see. I'm gonna look for something else that I think I find interesting, in my opinion. Okay, I was back at the top. I'm gonna go down. Not them using under the Higher Education Act is wild. So adding new standards, perhaps the change most praised by conservative policy experts and opposed by liberal ones is the Trump administration's attempt to add new standards for accreditors and mandate more detailed versions of existing ones. Currently, under the Higher Education Act, an accreditor must evaluate an institution or program on 10 standards in order to be recognized by the government. Not them using that old Higher Education Act, but I only say it's old because it hasn't been updated since 2007, 2008, and so that's the only reason I'd be like, but really. And so, and while the Higher Education Act says that accreditors must evaluate these standards, it does not say exactly how. In fact, it limits the department's ability to do so by saying the secretary shall not promulgate. I think that's how you say it, promulgate. Definitely a fancy word. I think I'm gonna play it out loud. Well, you ain't gonna be able to hear it, but
promulgate,
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 promulgate. That means literally put a law or decree into effect by official proclamation. That's how it works.
promulgate,
Promulgate. Promulgate any regulation with respect to the standards of an accreditation agency or association. All right, real quick, last thing. Favorite. I was about to just say about to cut it right there, like at least talking about this, and then go into my overview. But it says right here that still in its latest draft proposal, the department modifies the student achievement standard by requiring accreditors to identify minimum expectations related to return on investment of tuition, completion rates, placement rates, and or state licensing exam success using data without reference to race, ethnicity, or sex. Under the faculty standard, the department plans to require accreditors to prioritize intellectual diversity among faculty. I don't know what that means. The Trump administration also introduces new affordability requirements, such as requiring the evaluation of facilities to include cost/benefit analysis, ensuring that the program length is appropriate, and training agency staff to encourage low-cost models that can provide high-quality education. That's actually a good idea, though. Like, let's be real. We take a lot of times we take classes that are not really needed. And I do believe we should take the math, the English, critical thinking. Like, my writing skills have gotten better significantly because I write all the time in my career field. People might ask me for recommendations, emails, reports. I write all the time. Now, do I write essays? I haven't wrote an essay since I left grad school, but I had to be asked recently to I wrote a 1-page document under 10 minutes. And that was pretty impressive. That was without citations. I told Al that. I said, Al, I didn't realize how fast I can write type until I had to do it for that, because I didn't have to do so many citations. And a lot of times you write papers, it really be the citations and researching that slow you down. That's what made grad school stressful at Georgia State. I was researching, doing stuff like this, but then I have to write about it. And then now it's only so many words you can say sometimes, and you're like, my gosh. And then it's that silence of you and that screen looking at each other back and forth. It's like, bro, my computer did do that, actually. I don't know it just broke on me, or I broke it, but it just break. Grad school made me lose my mind. Literally, it came back a little bit, but I lost it for a moment. And so it says Bob Itzel, a Republican-appointed member of the department's accreditation oversight board and co-founder. I really need to go see. Let me see something. Department's accreditation. I'm gonna look him up. Let's look him up, because I need to find out if I can follow this in a way of some form or fashion. Let's see something real quick, y'all. So Bob, is it Bob or Robert? So Bob is the co-founder. They say he's a senior counselor, secretary of education from 2017 through 2020. But I don't know if it's Robert, because they be going under these different aliases. He probably go by Bob, but he's Robert. And it throws me off. I don't know why people use Robert for Bob. I don't get it. But I don't even know this is the same person. We're going to find out, though. Robert S. He served in the G.W. Bush and Donald Trump administrations as a political point. How old is this guy? Been around for a minute to do that. Let me see. They say DFI, but this person keeps popping up with them glasses. Got them old school 1940, 30 glasses. Let me see. He's a Republican. Oh, there you go. Okay, so that was it. I didn't keep reading. That was me. I thought that said Department of Defense, not Department of Defense. Thought it said, I don't know why I thought that said Education Department. That's what I thought it said. I probably skipped down here. So they saying that he's the Republican appointed member of the Department's Accreditation Oversight Board and co-founder of the Department of Freedom Institute. So this is him right here. Where is it? Department of Freedom Institute. I think this is right-leaning. I think ChatGPT one time when I was trying to figure out how to find right-leaning articles. And so, okay, definitely going to add that, higher education research. And so they appointed him DFI, Department of Freedom Institute, DFI president and co-founder Bob Etel, if I said it right, Etel, appointed to National Advisory Committee on Institutional Quality and Integrity. How does one get selected? I don't know. Interesting, right? But it's curiosity now. So, okay. And then the administration has been very creative about using the tools that it has to change behavior that it considers to be illegal and contrary. And you get more into it. But I think that was really the highlights. Is more in this article by Jessica Blake. I think her picture is at the bottom. And it's not. But this article, remember, is by Jessica Blake. And those are really the highlights, you know, going into that. Some of you might be like, bro, I stopped listening. But yeah, so the new accreditation rules could open a can of worms. While on one end, the right-leaning think tank, you know, Preston Cooper, they believe like, hey, for college accreditation, long overdue changes are coming. And, you know, perspective. Life is perspective. And I really don't know which way it's going to fall. I don't. Like I say, to sum it up, whoever comes in after the Trump administration might not even follow this, Republican or Democrat, because they might say it doesn't make sense. Because as you've seen, going back, Bob Etel is he's a Republican. And let me go back and see what they said from his perspective. I don't know if he was supporting what the Trump administration was doing or he was going against it, but he's a Republican. It says right there, let me see, Bob Etel, a Republican appointed member of the Departments of Accreditation Oversight Board and co-founder of Defense of Freedom Institute, a right-leaning think tank. Okay, so Defense of Freedom is a right-leaning think tank. So now I got 2 articles. I don't know if I'm going to see if they mention that, but that's cool to know. So I found another right-leaning think tank. Boom. So that helps balance our, like, damn, I feel good finding that on the live screen. So that balances our, like, left-leaning, right-leaning articles, putting them together. Boom. Perspective. But they say a right-leaning think tank believes these further details are necessary and legal despite the limitations placed on the education department and the HEA. Is this him? Did they quote him? Oh, wow. All right, I'm glad I did come back to this. So this administration has been very creative about using the tools that it has to change behavior that it considers to be illegal. I'm going to say that one more time. This administration has been very creative about using the tools that it has to change behavior. I don't know why they wrote it like that, but I did read it right the first time. This administration, I quote, this administration has been very creative about using the tools that it has to change behavior that it considers to be illegal or contrary to good policy. And this accreditation rulemaking proposal is a perfect example of that. He said, in quotation, Congress has granted the department certain authority to conduct oversight of the accreditation system. And this administration is going to use those tools at its disposal to implement its policy goals. They are going to do so in an aggressive way. Etzel's co-founder Jim Blue, I blew away, so Jim Blue will be a member of the rulemaking committee. But others say the new mandates are yet another demonstration of executive overreach in an attempt to exercise illegal ideological control over higher education institutions. So in that regard, they're saying, like I say, some institutions are left-leaning, like some colleges are left-leaning, some colleges are right-leaning. They're saying, like, look, this is kind of going to force you to be right-leaning, essentially. And you see how they're putting people in political, and that's where the political theory comes in. The higher education political theory comes into play, because you're seeing they're putting people in pieces to be on the rulemaking committee. And if these people are on the rulemaking committee still, once the Trump administration leaves, then depending who it goes through, this stuff could be approved. Essentially, it still could happen once the Trump administration main players are gone, but the other players are still there making things happen. So if another Republican comes in and be like, okay, these people are, conservative, we keep them in and things keep rolling. Just saying. So, yeah, okay. I don't want to go down another rabbit hole. All right, because we almost at 2 hours. And honestly, I don't think we got everything we should have covered. But, I try to keep it at 1 hour and 30 minutes. Yeah, try to keep it at 1 hour, 30 minutes. But we almost at 2. And it was a pretty good screen. And then really the last one is just pay attention. That was the last headline. It's so important to pay attention, man, when y'all probably could add a little more. It's just so important to pay attention when you're in higher education, going through school, asking those questions, man. I hope you find this live screen. We're going to clip this up, try and get better with clipping things so I can get your attention to kind of tune in on the live screens. But yeah. I think I spelled that wrong, but I think I spelled it right. And remember, play this like in, what's that word? Play this in like intervals, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Find what's important to you. I really feel like this was one of those ones we talked about with everything going on and coming up. Remember to start a 2-year, bridge to 4-year under the articulation agreement. We literally went over that. That's probably gonna be the first clip I send out. And like and subscribe. But remember, do not get a meal plan. Do not stay on campus. Like, get roommates, stay off campus. And you might have your own wash machine. You can have your own bathroom for sure. The dorms are not worth it. The meals might be worth it. And you can still get a meal plan when you stay off campus. Or you can pay your regular money and go there and treat it like a cafeteria. And just go eat there when you want to and cook your own meals. It actually supports my people out there saying eat healthy, grow your own fruits, grow your own vegetables and stuff. That's similarly what you should be doing, like buying your own groceries and cooking your own food. And I feel like in the future we got some good ideas. Like, I think chicken is a good one to cook. Real quick, just trying to get to 1 hour and 55. I think chicken is a good one to cook while you're in while you're in college in general. Chicken. But some people might say, what if I don't eat chicken? Then that's even better. Creating your own homemade vegetarian. I went on a vegetarian vegan phase myself. It was totally hard. Shout out to everybody who could do that. It was very difficult. And so, getting creative with wraps, but you could do meat wraps, or you could do your own, like, I don't eat meat wraps, buy your own lettuce, tomatoes, all these things, right? And ways to meal prep. Chips, if you don't like chips, fruit, granola bars, protein bars, so many ways to do it. And so, but definitely when I was in school, chicken, rice, bag of rice actually. But knowing what I know now, I probably wouldn't do the bag of rice as much. But chicken, rice, that was a good recipe. Spaghetti is an easy one. Pasta related dishes are easy and fast. So many more. But I think you need those ideas and those meal prepping ideas, because A lot of people say they don't have time to cook while they're in school. Some people, actually, I didn't even cover that topic. I'm gonna cover it. What's today? Tuesday. I'm gonna cover it Thursday then, because I didn't even get to cover that story today about the housing situation. It's like a housing insecurity or something going on by Inside Higher Ed. So we'll get to cover that next time, actually. But we hit the mark. Thank you for coming. Like and subscribe. Peace, love, chicken grease. And we'll see you all Thursday.